All right, let's bring on our good friend here, the absolute legend. It's Wednesday, so therefore the Doc is joining the show. The publisher of Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, one of the greatest podcasters that exist in the space
of all time.
Mr. John Maakaron. John, how are you doing, my friend?
I feel good. How you guys doing? It's
Hey,
a great
John,
day, man. I'm excited.
Good.
We're talking about
wait.
Go on, Boon.
Is the rash gone? That was I feel good. The rash must be gone. I'm proud of you. I'm pumped up for you, brother.
Yeah, I took all the steroids I needed to take, all the human growth hormone I need to take, all the ED pills. I'm good. I'm ready to go.
No, the ED pills.
Oh man.
Well, Doc, we talked about it to start the show. All the rules coming out. I know you've been busy today too. They added a new freaking award. We'll get to all that. But the first one I want to ask: the Lions are one of the teams that pushed back, no pun intended, on the Tush Push. All right, they were all right. Pushed back against those who were pushing back, I guess would be the right way to say that. The people that were against the Tush Push, Lions were for it. They had no problem with it. What do you make of the Tush Push staying in the game of football and the Lions being on board with keeping it?
Yeah, no, look, when Dan Campbell says we want to stop it, I'm curious, how do you stop it? I think it's just if it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, I just find it impossible. So it's a challenge. I'm curious when, I probably will ask Kelvin Shepherd the week they play the Eagles, how the heck are you going to try and stop the Tush Push? And it's tough. I mean, what do? You bring the linebackers in? I mean, and here's the thing. I heard you guys talking earlier. I peeked in, and look, the Tush Push is a play that the Eagles actually practice like multiple times during the week. It's an all-year thing. They drill the linemen. They have made this play a staple of their offense, and it's not like just hey, let's just practice it on a Friday as part of a throw-in for red zone. No, they talk about the level of dedication that they put towards it. So they've reaped the rewards, and not all teams can do it. So I look at it like if it's a good play and it benefits teams. Look, I'm always of the opinion if it's 3rd and 1, number one goal is make sure you move the football, advance it. And if, I don't want to risk, fumbling the ball or doing anything crazy, so it's an interesting play, but I love the Lions' bravado in being one of the teams that supports it. So I don't have a problem with it. You saw the Bills try and it didn't work out for them. So I'm glad that, but 22 teams did say, hey, we're not really fond of the play, and the Packers, the soft organization that they are, revised their proposal to try any way to get that play out. But there's no evidence that it hurts players. It's just one of those deals where, hey, the Eagles found a little bit of a loophole. They could take advantage of it.
Doc, what did you think about the obviously they withdrew the playoff proposal. And I don't know if you saw the reports. I saw a lot of reports today that it was essentially they want to add it potentially for the 18-game season when they start that. What are your thoughts on that whole proposal, them pulling it? And do you like if they do add it to the 18-game schedule, switching the playoffs, what would be seeding?
Yeah, I heard you guys' little disagreement. It's interesting, I never had a problem with the way the playoffs were seeded. I felt like last year's game was, the Lions and the Vikings was as intense as you could imagine. It was for all the marbles, and knowing that the team that lost was going to potentially, still have a great record, but have to go on the road. I thought that it valued the division. Now, I understand the other side, though, in that certain 15-win years aren't exactly the same because you rotate division. So if the Lions are playing this year the NFC East and it's not as good, their win record is not the same. But I do feel like owners don't want to lose any home games. They don't want to lose any dollars. They don't want, opportunities where they could be a division winner and then have to go on the road when they earned a home playoff game. So I don't think it ever had support. It was talked about all weekend that it was, there was discussion that, okay, they're going to table it and visit it again. But I like the way the playoffs have been seeded. I could have managed the way that it was tweaked, where you keep it during the regular season to keep it important, and then reseed in the playoffs. I could go with that. What the tweak was, I thought was fair. But to me, I like the way the playoffs are. I like the way the divisions matter and the playoffs, and I like the way that now you end the year against division rivals. It means a lot, especially for the Lions. The last couple of years, those ending couple games have meant something.
And kind of going with all the news that came out today, Doc, now that you hear that they're going to have a protector of the year when it comes to offensive linemen now getting a yearly award. What is your reaction when you hear that? And how long do you think Penei Sewell lands one of these awards?
Yeah, as soon as this year, right? It's the Penei Sewell Award. That's what burst online. I think it's a great award. Look, offensive linemen deserve a lot of credit. They're in the trenches. And look, those guys are definitely humble, smartest guys in the room, very bright in order to be able to handle all the checks and reads and everything they got to do. So you got to be very bright to be an offensive lineman in the National Football League and to get a reward. Absolutely great. And it's going to be basically the Penei Sewell Award. Let's just go with it. And Penei Sewell wins it every single year. And he continues his reign. He gets to at least prove via an award why he's the best. I thought that it was great to see the Lions be featured and splattered all over the top under 25 list from PFF. Really goes to show you what the Lions core is about. A lot of young, talented players. And Penei Sewell is one of them. And by and large, what did Aaron Glenn do? I don't know if you guys are into it, but the Jets have put out their draft specials and stuff like that. And to see them draft Membu was crazy because that's very similar to the Lions way, which is draft a lineman, get somebody that sets the tone. And my goodness, the Jets are starting to showcase, and you're starting to hear a little bit of how Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn talk. Very eerily similar to Dan Campbell. It's crazy.
Yeah, Doc, the preseason schedule came out. We talked about it when it initially came out, but some players that we kind of highlighted, at least in my opinion, there are some players that can take advantage of the preseason, considering the Lions have a really good roster. So guys that are late round picks or guys that don't have starting spots, they have an opportunity to not only make the roster, but showcase to other teams what they have potential wise. But is there any Lions players that pop in your mind when you saw that preseason schedule that has the kind of the most to gain when it comes to this upcoming preseason?
Yeah, I love looking at the preseason. And I said on Twitter that this could go off the rails. Shout out to the chat. Y'all are getting late. I'm very happy to read that. That's always good. Congratulations to the young guys that are getting their noodle wet. You guys are reporting. So thanks for sharing. That's great to hear. It's all good on that front, but maybe TMI on some of the other details of that. But hey, that's all good. If the chat's happy, then the doc's happy. I'm happy to hear that for you guys. Hey,
I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah, it makes your attention span so much better. I'm very happy when the chat's happy, the doc's happy. So pass it along anytime you want. These guys like to pass it along too. Now, the preseason to me this year, very key. You got a lot of young developmental players. And I heard this same very question asked to the fine other writer that's also in the media room there. And I feel like I totally agree with what he had to say. Broderick Martin, Giovanni Manu, Hendon Hooker, all guys that need development, but also too, a player in the Teason article for tomorrow. I want to see Sione Vaki, what he does. Where are they using him? What kind of advantages does he get? What kind of growth does he have? Christian did a great article talking about the developmental players that are going to take steps forward. I thought that was a great topic that he brought to the table. And I want to see, I definitely want to see how some of the young developmental players handle it. And I also want to see some of the rookies too. Our friend there really dropped a hammer by calling the 6th round pick basically a token, which was crazy. I saw that. I was like, wow, that was bold.
It's on brand, Doc. It's on brand.
It was nice. It was, listen, when anyone has a bold opinion, you share it. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do think that the young rookies that are, I definitely want to see Dan Jackson, love it, and Ahmed Hassanin out there doing their thing. So I want to see definitely a lot of the young players take advantage of the opportunity for playing time. But the big three, you definitely want to see how Giovanni Manu looks. Does he get a chance to get into that rotation? I don't think so. But hey, you got to see the competition. Broderick Martin looking a little bit more svelte, more athletic. So we'll see about him. And then the number one guy that's going to get a lot of reps, Hendon Hooker. Maybe he does enough to, and I heard the conversation, and I got the tone of like, well, Hendon hasn't had a lot of reps, so he hasn't shown anything. Look, you just need him to hold the clipboard. I don't know what he can show because he's still so inexperienced on the field. There's such a difference to preseason games versus the regular season. So I don't know what type of I don't know that a good preseason even is going to give me confidence that if something happens to Jared Goff, that he could go out there, because the NFL game is such a different level than it is in the preseason, than it is in practice. It's just a very fast game that you got to pick up. You got to read. The defenses definitely are faster and are working their tails off to try and confuse young quarterbacks. So I'm not certain that even Hendon Hooker, the level of development that he's going to get even in this preseason is going to showcase a whole heck of a lot if he does get the opportunity. He's got to get reps in the regular season, but the only time that's going to ever happen is if Jared Goff gets hurt. So it's very unique with Hendon Hooker where he's at. He's not going to get the value where you're going to ever get a third-round pick for him. So the best thing for him is just keep learning and see what happens. But in the National Football League at his age, he might only get one, literally in the National Football League, he might only get one chance. If Goff goes down for a quarter or two, he might only get that one opportunity to showcase what he's got, and he's got to take advantage of it. But I don't know if this preseason is going to be enough to get him ready to showcase what everybody would want.
It's a tough pill to swallow. Some people can't do it, Doc.
He'll be ready, Doc.
I'm with you, Doc. I'm with you. You might need. I'm worried they have to bring in another experienced quarterback if he's not ready. I want to ask you this
record. What's the record for the most touchdowns thrown in a preseason game? What is that?
Doesn't matter because, like Doc said, it has to translate to the regular season.
Anyway,
you never know. You're playing against fourth-string practice squad guys who might be playing. We love the UFL, but playing in the UFL next year.
You might break it. Go on.
Doc, I do want to bring this up. We actually talked about it yesterday. If you were watching, it sounded like you were watching the boys. So hey, I do appreciate that. But we had the Alex Anzalone conversation, and that's been a topic since the last time we spoke with you last week. I would like to get your kind of updated thoughts on that. I had texted you, I think it might have been Thursday or Friday, and I brought up, hey, Doc, did you notice that he deleted the Trey Hendrickson quote tweet? He's deleted a couple tweets. I don't know if it was his agent that said, hey, let's take those down. Maybe I don't know what was going on there. Where are you at with this? Do you think this is actually going to end up being something that, hey, we need to worry about? Or is it going to say, hey, this is just going to blow over? Because you connect the dots, and like we were talking about yesterday, there are some tweets that he went and quote tweeted in the last couple weeks that were from like January. So he's obviously out there, him and his agent are obviously out there searching and looking for some things to put out in front of Brad and them. How do you think this thing plays out? Is it as serious as maybe some people are taking it?
Well, clearly, if you've heard the stories I've told, I want Alex out of the locker room because he wants to whoop the Doc's ass anytime I post things on social media. No, listen, it's a very interesting. I thought that the linebackers coach handled it wrong when he definitely put the highlight on the whole story when he's like, no comment. Listen, I don't think he's a distraction. He's in the last year of his deal, and he looks around the landscape. He sees all this money being floated around to Derek Barnes and a bunch of other linebackers, even in their 30s. They're getting north of $10 million, and he feels like he's outplayed his contract. So I would, and I'm torn. I would, feel like you've heard, a couple years, give him some guaranteed money. You have to, I think, reward him for the work that he's done the last 4 years. I think he's a good linebacker, and there's no way I would see a dip in production. So but I also get the idea from the GM side that you make him earn it. He's got a contract. He signed it 3 years, $18 million, $6 million is not chump change. But look, his job is to market himself. I would not have done it the way he did it. Clearly, he's just highlighting, and I think he realized, oh shoot, everybody's noticing what I'm doing on social media here. They notice that I'm posting all the positive things, and he said no other linebackers asked to do all the things that I'm asked to do in coverage and all the different things and roles that I got to take on. He wants more money. He wants a contract, some guarantees, and no player feels comfortable, especially when he comes off a year where he hurt himself. So he's one play away where all the guaranteed money's gone. So you want some security. You want that last $20 million, 15 guaranteed to secure your future. But he's earned it. Like, I don't see any way in which it's a waste. I like what he brings to the table, but I've gotten pushback, and people have said, he's under contract. You make him play out the year. If he does great, pay him more. So I could see both sides of it. I do think that, look, the Lions are clear in the way they do things. They don't want this negotiated in the media. They don't want that. They don't want players tweeting that kind of stuff, because what does it do? It draws eyeballs to it. It forces the opinions to come out, where now there's like 5 to 6 sites that are writing articles. Should we sign him? Should we not sign him? Talking about Alex Anzalone's contract. it's noise. It's not needed. And I truly believe that what's going to happen is training camp will roll around and we're going to hear that he gets probably maybe just a little bit north of what Derek Barnes got, maybe in the neighborhood of 2 years, 18 million with like 12, 13 guaranteed. And you keep him here 25 and 26 season. I do think Jack Campbell's next, but Alex Anzalone deserves it. He showcased it. And I'm not saying that because if I don't, he'll pin me against the wall and whoop my ass. I tell him to his face, look, if the time comes and they don't do it, I would agree with the organization. Go out and do it again. My message would be go do it again. Charge the Lions more. If you have another great year in 2025, you get lucky and you gamble on yourself, you stay healthy, you're going to blow it out of the water either in Detroit or somewhere else. You could get 2 years, 25 million. You could get 12. If you have another great year and you showcase what you did for this organization, I think that Alex Anzalone is in a good spot with what he's got going on. But players listen, the last year of the deal, that's why we put out the articles about trading JMO or trading Alex. Players in the last year of their deal, we start speculating about their future.
And Doc, Jeff kind of asked you the question just a second ago, who has the most to gain this preseason? Who do you think on the flip end has the most to lose going through this preseason? Guys that have already been here, even guys that got drafted that could potentially get beat out by a veteran. Who do you think has most to lose this preseason? Yeah,
a player that people are talking about is NX Rakestraw. I'm curious to see how much playing time he gets. Him being on the outside is interesting and unique. I like the idea of giving him some competition. I thought that his first year as a second round pick did not get anywhere near the impact that you'd want for him. If he showcases, hey, some struggles, then his playing time is not going to be there. I'm curious. I do think that some of the vets, Rocky Sin, has to prove some things and earn a job. I think those guys fighting for jobs could be in a situation where there's some challenges. I guess the guy with the most to lose is Graham Glasgow. He's the guy that I think most people think is already out of a job with Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier coming to town. So there's some vets that could be out of town if it doesn't go well and training camp per se doesn't go exactly right. Graham Glasgow, most notably, is a player that did not have the greatest year, and they drafted more players at his position. And I think another player too, Colby Sorsdahl, has to showcase that he's got to step up, that this job, that this development is on point for him. Many people right now, I think we did a little bit of an early roster bubble where there's some players we think are clearly on that bubble. Broderick Martin, Colby Sorsdahl definitely got to go out there and do some things. And then as well, I look at players, a little bit older on the roster that got to do some things that got to battle. So I'm excited to see how training camp shakes out. But the most to lose, I'll probably say Graham Glasgow, because he might end up being on the bench in favor of a young rookie if the training camp battles don't go his way.
Hey, real quick, Doc.
Go on.
Broderick Martin.
Listen,
is he dead in the water, Doc?
I think a lot of people, I still think it's too early because we still haven't, we will see him finally on the field next week. So there will be a report on what he looks like out there. I do think he's more athletic. I do think that he's got an uphill climb, but listen, he's got to get a chance to showcase. And I do think that clearly with Tyleik Williams and Roy Lopez and others as well that are on the defensive line, he's got uphill. He's got to showcase something. So I do not think he's dead in the water. If he's got any level of competition, then if he's got any grit, then he's going to try to prove to keep his job. So I do not say he's dead in the water, but yeah, he faces an uphill climb, and it's safe to say that most of the fan base has already given up on him, but I have not. Until I see him out there on the field, until I see what he looks like in training camp battling and seeing what he's about with his new revamped physique and attitude, clearly he's got the message that the team is wanting him to be more consistent and develop. So we'll see what happens. The Lions seem to be giving guys some chances, and I want to see what he looks like out on the field.
Yeah, this comment always gets me too. Broderick, best
shape of his life.
Yeah, we hear this.
Pulling quads.
Yeah, we hear. I got to see another quad getting pulled in, and I'll be a little more excited, Doc. Let me bring up a rookie. All right, and we talked about him. He was on the same Brown pod. I know you already watched his start to finish because you're a sicko too. Isaac Tesla. He talked to the St. Brown brothers. And he's an 02. He was born in 02, which is crazy.
February 20th, 2002, matter of fact.
The same birthday as Lukas Klotz. He's 02 babies, Doc. I want to ask, though, expectations for him in terms of production. Like what? Because we struggled with this right before you joined. We were talking about like what would even be a fair expectation yards-wise for him his rookie year, because you have so many guys that are already in that room. And then even at his best, with Jameson here, with Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameer, all these guys, like what would that look like, one, this year, but also you think at his best? What do you think that production looks like with all these weapons?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But I watched the podcast, and I loved the setup. I thought it was great, entertaining. So, rhetorical question for the chat and you guys. Doc, Isaac Tesla, Amon-Ra, and Equanimous all go to a bar in California. Who pulls more numbers? Is it the Doc or Amon-Ra? Who's got more game? Who do you think spits more game out there? Because I would take Isaac under my wing. He'd be my perfect wingman, and I think I could get him some attention out there with his new signing bonus, and we'd have a good time out there. Me and Isaac can party and have a good time together, show him a little bit. We wouldn't go to no sushi place. We would start, our night would start at midnight, and we'd go to some of those clubs out there that have a good time in LA. And for sure, I would do this. No problem. I would admit it. I would just call up TMZ and be like, look, I got a couple Lions guys here. Take my photo, cut me a little bit of the check of the photos, and make sure that stuff gets out there. Make sure you interview me and ask me some great questions about my evening, and I'll tell you how much fun we're going to have.
I mean, the Doc, no cervix is safe in LA with the Doc involved.
Cervix is safe. It's just a wild thing to say.
All right. Back to football. I think that early on it's going to be a little bit slow. I would probably say in the neighborhood of 300 to 550 yards of production. You still got a lot of mouths to feed. I don't think he's going to be the primary target in a lot of offensive sets. It's going to take time to develop chemistry. But once it gets going, I see some opportunities in short yardage situations, be a red zone guy. You still got Tim Patrick, I think, is going to get a lot of targets. Jamo, I do think, is going to be in that 12 to 1,400 range. Amon-Ra is going to be looking to continue to grow and develop. So rookies tend to take a little bit of time to develop and get that chemistry and trust. So I'm looking 35 to 40 catches, if that, for like 500 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns. And really, it's a year to develop and grow in this offense and get after it. So I will be curious to see what level of production he gets, what percentage of offensive snaps, what 4 wide receiver sets, 5 wide receiver sets. Do they go a little bit aggressive with him and get him out there early? But, there's opportunities for him. If the Lions feel like he's one of the top guys in the draft and something happens to Tim Patrick or he's not developing as much, you never know. Maybe he can get up there in the 600 to 700 yard range. But I just think that, most people in their expectations are using the word modest, and I'll stick with that.
Hey, I want to throw this out here, Doc, because I read one of your articles this week. And it was about Mike Valeni and the Jameson Williams conversation. And I think it all kind of comes together with the top 25 under 25 years old, to where you had 5 Detroit Lions players on there, and the one guy out that everyone kept pointing out was Jameson Williams. And that kind of sparked the debate on every single show. Hey, is he the odd man out? Can you give your thoughts on that? I know it was when I read it, it was a Mike Valeni kind of him throwing that out there. I want to actually get your thoughts, though, specifically on the Jameson Williams stuff and that top 25 list as well.
Yeah, Teddy, baby. All right. Thanks for sharing, man. I don't know why I uniquely would smile at that, but thank you. I can rest easy knowing that I got fans that do that with my articles, man. Thank you kindly. That's somehow some uniquely an ego boost for a guy like me. So thank you very much. I will be definitely sharing that with friends and be like, there are fans that love my articles so much. It's arousing. It's listen,
Jeff and Doc are just having a freak off right now. What are we doing, fellas?
Yeah, I don't know
what's happening. I don't know what's going on in the chat. You know what it is? You know what it is? It's spring. It's the weather. It's guys. And listen, that's what they want to talk about. And I'm sure some of them saw what Joy Taylor had to say on her podcast. I was very uniquely entertained by the commentary that she's bringing to the table. I am a fan of her work. I am not, based on what she describes, I am not in that category of a gentleman. So I thought that's what's in the mood. I think that's what's going on this Detroit evening. The cold weather kind of puts everybody in the mood to stay inside and get after it. So, but But like I said, we're going to go off the train a little bit.
Way, dude.
But uniquely, I'm surprised people push back so much on what Mike Valenti says, because I think they listen to the whole thesis and they don't agree. All he was doing was saying, look, if Brad Holmes loves Isaac Tesla, what does that mean for JMO? Like, what does that mean for the future if you're trading that many picks for a guy? Is Isaac Tesla the future? And I do think it's a little bit of a stretch to say that he would outbeat JMO at this point. JMO has a completely different skill set, but it's interesting to wonder because the future of Jameson Williams is something to pay attention to because of the nature of the contract he's going to demand. But I do not think I directly correlate Tesla to JMO. I think that Tesla is a big-bodied X receiver that's kind of like in the Tim Patrick role. And I do think that Jameson Williams is a player that could end up on another team, but not because of his lack of talent, but because the market could dictate that, hey, he commands $25 million a year and you just can't pay everybody. So I thought that his conversation was unique. And his basic question is, well, is Jameson Williams part of the core of the Lions? And I do think that my answer is no. And the reason is that the wide receiver position is the easiest to replace. They're coming out in droves in terms of tall, lanky receivers that can get open and be a deep threat. It's just tough to pay. Are you going to pay $100 million for a couple receivers? Like, are you going to have, one receiver making 30 and the other one making 25 and another one coming in and breaking the bank as well? It's very tough to pay wide receivers that much money. So I do think that Jameson Williams is in the driver's seat because he's got a talent that I think the league covets. And it's a tough conversation to have because people love Jameson Williams. And I do think that there's a strong attachment to the way he plays, his youthful attitude. But this is dollars and cents. This is not fanboy stuff here. We're talking dollars and cents. And dollars and cents indicate that you got a lot of dollars that you got to pay out. And you can get a wide receiver of a similar skill set to JMO much cheaper. But, on the other side, if JMO balls out in 25 and 26, you can use a franchise tag and keep him the extra year. I just don't know if the Lions are going to be willing to invest 4 years and $160 million in a receiver, especially when you have Amon-Ra St. Brown and you can still go cheaper in the next couple drafts. So it's an interesting debate. It's one that's tough because everybody loves JMO and they don't want to talk about that kind of thing in the business sense of it. But guys, I'm sorry, Brad Holmes said it directly. The wide receiver position is plenty, and you can get a player of similar stature to Jameson Williams in the draft or in free agency at a much cheaper cost. So, but he's got a unique speed. He's got a unique skill that will get him paid. He will be paid. Listen, his skill set, based on what the coaching staff says, he's going to develop and grow. The problem lies therein in that a lot of Lions are going to demand a lot of high salary. And so I'm not so certain that Jameson's going to get the bag, but he could, and he could, and this conversation could end up being moot. But I do think that the conversation around JMO, it's just the nature of the business in that if there's if you look at it and you say, well, if you pay JMO, are you willing to give up Laporta? Tight ends can play till they're 35. Are you going to give up Gibbs, Jack Campbell? Those are all integral parts. It's just unfortunate that JMO plays a position that most people feel you can kind of get a suitable replacement in the draft. So we'll see if he balls out and continues to ball out. The Lions still have advantages within the cap to keep him around with the franchise tag. So it's just one of those interesting conversations. And Mike Valenti is one of the greats at being able to expand in his unique way.
I just want to throw out there real quick, Doc, like just to kind of go off of that. It is like, I think the question has to come up because that option, you opted in, obviously, but he's due for he was eligible for an extension and they didn't do it. So I think that I think it's fair for people to, and Brad had that at the league meetings, had the comment about it as well. So I think there is that. Can I just follow up on the franchise tag thing? Do you think that happens? Because I don't know if you ever remember, or if people in the chat remember, Amon-Ra St. Brown was talking about the franchise tag at one point. I don't remember what show or where it was on. It might have been on his own, but they were talking about the T. Higgins one. And Amon-Ra made the comment, like, we've never had it. We've never had to deal with that in Detroit. Hopefully we never have to. Like that, I would be so mad if that happened to me. And he had mentioned that. So is that something that, like, if it happens, I wonder, like, do you think JMO would kind of feel a little type of way with that, or how do you think that would go? Like that would play out?
No, it's a great question. And it's simple, similar to Alex Anceloni. It's dollars and cents. If someone offers you 100 million guaranteed versus 17 million guaranteed, or whatever the average of the top 5 is, which is going to probably by then be around 20, 21 million, that's a lot of money. And so players don't like the franchise tag because it limits what you can earn in terms of high-end dollars. Look, Jameson Williams, like any other athlete, and he's going to speak to his representatives, they're going to say, hey, if a team is willing to give you $100 million and 75 of it guaranteed, and a lot of years and per annual basis of north of $20 million, it's just tough to sit there and go on a 1-year basis because the risk of injury. If something happens, boom, then teams will use that and your career and your earning power is over. But he's made a lot of money. And look, 1 year, a lot of average fan is going to be like, listen, 1 year, 22 million fully guaranteed is not going to, be chump change. So it's just a leverage tool that in essence, the franchise tag really in essence is made for JMO. It's made to keep him around for 27 and 28. If you want to do that without committing to him long-term, but athletes don't like it. They feel disrespected, but I don't think that JMO is going to be the kind of guy that's going to pout or sulk. I think he just would accept it. Maybe he would, personally feel slighted, but you still make a boatload of cash when you get franchise tagged. It's unfortunate, but I could see that happening. And it's pretty clear Jameson Williams could be the candidate for the Lions to be one of the first to get the franchise tag in Brad Holmes' era.
And a huge reason or outcome of JMO's success last year resulted in the Lions winning the division, Doc. And I don't know if you saw the article that was going around, but it said the most vulnerable division winners, and it had the Lions at number 1. When you see that, you compare it to the other division winners from 2024, what do you make of it? Do you think that it's accurate, or do you think it's just off the wall that they're trying to get clicks out of this?
Yeah, interesting article by Judy Battista, the longtime NFL columnist who's on television every single night at 7 p.m. on the NFL Insiders. She's made her bones doing some great work in the NFL.
Who was that?
Judy Battista, the longtime NFL
her.
columnist. A great female columnist who's done great work covering teams and now has transitioned to television and now is a senior NFL columnist at NFL.com. So I definitely read that. You guys read it as well. Clearly, it's a good article, but it uses tropes and narratives that I think are basic and kind of ones that you would use if you're on the outside. You're a little bit nervous, from the outside about Ben Johnson leaving and Aaron Glenn leaving and the tough schedule. But look, and this is where I joked around, which you will see. Which is so funny in that I now see a lot of people who comment under a lot of stuff. I did that stuff 15 years ago, and now I kind of picked it back up because I forgot how fun it is. I joked around with the Eagles on their page. I said, oh, great. The Eagles tush push is legal. The Lions are going to use it to beat the Eagles. And all the Eagles fans are riled up going, oh my God, da-da-da-da-da. I look at it and I say, it looks like Booner and all his calm down friends are not doing a good enough job to let the national media know that the Lions are legit. There's still doubts. I'm surprised with all I can't believe the outside world is critiquing the Lions, that Booner and Natalie and Mike, all you calm down guys are not tweeting it enough to get the perception of the national media to change. It's just, I'm shocked. I am truly shocked.
Did you not have you been watching the show over the last week? Did you see Friday's show?
I did. I listened pretty much.
The Booner Path.
Yeah.
The Booner Path officially came back Friday, and it's, hey, calm down. We don't care about the outside noise anymore, Doc. Exactly. And you've been covering this team a while. We're back to 2022 and 2023, and I think the boys like it that much. I like it like that, Doc, where the national media is against us. I would rather have it like that than have it to where every week Lions this. Hate us, please. Okay. We'll play better. Okay. We'll be better. Okay, calm Booner, down now, Doc.
You're speaking, but unfortunately, the reality, as someone who's a psychologist who knows what people read and what they don't.
Listen up, Boone.
The fans love what the outside is saying. They just want so desperately to be relevant, to be universally respected, to be the king of the mountain. The fans are always wondering, what's Stephen A saying? What's Shannon Sharp saying? What's Ocho saying? What are they love it. They love to hear what is being said about the Detroit Lions. They love it locally. They want all the fans to be on board, and they also want the outside world. They're like, oh my God, SportsCenter only spent half a segment talking about the Lions. They love the Detroit. Where do you think Detroit versus everybody came from? It's great. It's something that should be warranted. It's likely never going to happen that you get the entire outside world and people that peek into the Lions that only read articles and get information from others that they're going to universally love the Lions. No, I don't see that happening. You could scream that. You could scream on this show and every other show for every single day until the season starts, and you're still going to have doubters that are going to pick what's going to happen is, I agree with others that say there's going to be people that will know that the Lions fans will get riled up and they'll pick the Bears to win the division just to rile up the Detroit Lions fans. It's just easy to do. It's not even that difficult. You know that people will do it pretty simply because you know that look what happened when Joy Taylor critiqued Dan Campbell wearing the helmet. The entire Lions fan base came after her, and she came on my podcast and was like, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But she says coaches don't act like that. And she wasn't used to it. And she took her medicine, and the Lions fan base really got after her. And that's what fans do. They're fanatics. But I do not think that now to the point of the question, I do think that there are concerns. Yes, naturally, when you have overhaul, when you have changes to that degree, but I just think that it's a little bit of a lazy take because if you look deeply, John Morton knows the system, is deeply connected to Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell is an offensive genius. He's in the meetings. He is partly in the game planning. He is somebody that is a big part of this offense. You have a great offense. Kelvin Shepard was molded and taught by Aaron Glenn. So the transition is not that big a deal. And to me, I just think that those on the outside that don't watch the Lions as intently as we do, look at it and say they're going to fall off. It's not a year-to-year thing. Well, to me, I can only go by the facts of the case. They went from 3 wins to 9 wins to 12 wins to 15 wins. To me, it's a 10-win, 11-win team that's going to be a very successful team that has a great offense and some question marks on defense. But listen, I don't give truly, I don't care what the outside world thinks about the Detroit Lions. It's interesting to read about, but I truly do not care what anybody outside of Detroit thinks about the Lions. If they like the Lions, great. If they don't, it doesn't make a difference. Dan Campbell's mission is to one day win a Super Bowl, and my intention is to only watch and pay attention to all the moves made. Did they make enough to get there in 2025? My current stance is I have some doubts as if 2025 is a good enough year to overcome the best teams in the National Football League. But let's go down that road and find out the answer. My thesis is I got great hope for the future, a lot of sustained success, a lot of big wins, a lot of double-digit seasons, but a little bit concerned for 2025.
Doc, can you clarify for us? We talked about this yesterday, and I guess it was kind of, I don't know if it was completely wrong or maybe it was just misunderstood, but the Sports Illustrated article that from the Chargers that suggested that the Lions were going to trade up to 22. Can you clarify kind of what that is, why they were going to do it, and maybe it wasn't for an edge like they assumed, and maybe more so for Tyreek or Derek Harmon or something like that?
Okay. Excuse me for getting pissed off here at your question, but look, let me put it this way. Okay. And I shared it with your colleague, and I'm going to share it again so that the internet world can hear it directly. When you read an article, okay, look for keywords that will tell you exactly. It's not a report. What happened is an outlet read between the lines and said, oh, the Chargers were making calls. Well, there were some teams maybe that were interested. And a national reporter misquoted Brad, but they were speculating. Even if the quote is, you take out all the quotes, they were speculating, saying the Lions could have been a team that was interested. That was the headline in the first article. Now, what happens is, and this is the world of media, is we all read and we're all looking for content. So another SI site went to that page and read it and said, oh, this could potentially be a case. And they used the word likely, maybe. It wasn't a report. It was all written as speculation. You have to be an educated reader. Nobody reported that the Lions tried to trade up. Nobody reported that. None of the local beat said that. None of us said that. They said, Brad Holmes said that they tried to make some moves in the second round. But could they have made a call? It's possible. But look for those words: maybe, could have, likely, and just don't read the headline and then start going and posting stuff. Read the article, understand what you're reading, and realize that nobody said that the Lions definitively called and took a call from the Chargers and tried to make a deal for James Pierce. That never happened. That it was never written that way. It was written, maybe it could have happened. It was likely. And that's happened to me before on a big stage on things that I've written, but I clearly write the headline in a way where it's clear. I put rumor, I put speculation, or here's what I'm thinking. You know, you have to do that nowadays because people read that and they say Sports Illustrated said this. Listen, that guy, all he did was clip an article, like what you guys do on a small scale. You take a little clip, you go, hey, here's what I think on it. This is what this guy did. Everybody thought and became a rumor because they don't understand what they're reading. And everybody's reading comprehension is at a third grade level. All right. Please look for those words. Maybe, could be. It was not a report. It was pure speculation. And look, common sense, guys. These are all common sense kind of stuff. Do you think Brad Holmes inquired a little bit about an edge before the 6th round? Of course he did. Where was it? Maybe in the 1st, maybe in the 2nd. He definitely thought that there was an edge that he could have taken. It didn't happen because the Lions were too far back. Brad Holmes said it out of his mouth 30 times. He tried to make calls in the 2nd round. What do you think he was trying to call up for? So it's just one of those deals where everybody's butt hurt and they don't understand what they're reading and they want to be Mr. Fact Checker online. Well, if you read the article, it pretty much tells you, if you have half a brain, that it's all speculation.
Doug, I want to throw out there yeah, you texted me last night. We were having the conversation about it, and I ended up I kind of understood all of that. It made sense.
Read the articles. That's all I ask. Take your time and read the articles. It does not come across as fact in any way.
Well, hey, that's why you're a legend, Doc. That's why you're great at what you do. I want to bring up one coach real quick before we move on to different sports and different things like that. But Deshar Choice, coming over from Texas as the running backs coach, Doc, you were in the building. You were out at practice. You got to see him out in action. And I saw you guys wrote the article about Jahmyr Gibbs, and the comments that he made. Can you talk about him a little bit and what he's been like in the building there and kind of what he's going to do? The one thing, I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure you do because you were there. But someone had made the comment, I think it was Kelvin Shepard, about how he told him, he says, I don't want you to judge me on Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but judge me on Sione Vaki and Craig Reynolds. I think that's one of the best quotes I've heard in Allen Park ever. That is an unbelievable quote. What are your thoughts on him and as well as what you've seen around Allen Park?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then real fast, not to belabor the point, but guys, you guys know in the chat who you trust. You trust a guy like me, Jeremy, Ben, Corey. You trust the guys that are in Detroit. It's not that hard. Anything written out there, guys, there are literally 200 other sites that cover the Lions that are not really in regards to in the know. So I would say stick with the people that you know and trust, that talk to you, that you know. If you don't see that I wrote it or the others, you would see, I would say, at least 2 people write that rumor locally before you go believe anything outside of the parameters. So trust local, please. And the national guys too, they are connected, like Albert Breer and things like that. But if you don't see it on a local site, please don't take it as gospel. And there's no need to fact check and debate things. People are going to write things. If you read it, you can understand it. Deshar Choice got as much energy as me. You got to love him, man. He's got full energy. He's ready to go. I think he's coming in to be a dog and to coach these running backs and to be somebody that's going to get Jahmyr Gibbs to the next level and David Montgomery to be a grinder. I love his energy. I was there at rookie minicamp, and he was going at it with Kelvin Shepard. He's got big energy. If a running back that was there, a rookie running back or a tryout, just made a move that wasn't exactly the way Deshar wanted him, he stopped the rep and made him do it again and said, hey, do not do this. Do this way and make sure you go about your business in the right way. Big energy guy. I think he's a great asset to Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's going to take Gibbs to the next level. I was hyped. I posted on X. I said, hey, to 1,000 yards each for Gibbs and David Montgomery, and being facetious, I said 2,000 yards all purpose for Jahmyr Gibbs coming this year because he's got good energy. I think he's somebody that understands the running back position to a T. And also I think that him being close friends with Calvin Shepard will definitely spark up a rivalry day to day. That's going to be great. And to your point, yeah, anybody can coach a running back with supreme talent like Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. But how do you develop a guy like Sione Vaki that has a skill set that needs to be developed a little bit raw? And where do you take him? Where do you get him? Do you get the most out of your players? Do you get the special teams value? Do you get the buy-in from players like Craig Reynolds and take them to another level? So Scotty Montgomery and also Scotty's still part of the coaching staff. They will sit and Deshar Choice will run the running backs, but he can go to Scotty Montgomery anytime and get some information. And I do think that this coaching staff, even though it's revamped, I like it. I think you guys spent as much time as I did listening to those guys speak. And I loved every minute of what I was hearing from the new linebackers coach, the defensive backs coaches, and the assistant coaches are just on par with what you need at the National Football League level. But Deshar Choice, full energy, great experience, and is going to take Jahmyr Gibbs to the next level. Look out. Must have from the DOC. If you're in fantasy, get Jahmyr Gibbs within the first 5 picks if you can.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.